welcome to Ignite Studio. I'm Jeremy Chapman.
And I'm Jeremy Winter.
Yes, two Jeremys today. We're going to talk about operations management and some of the new stuff that you're doing.
You bet.
In order to manage data centers. This is really cool. If you've been around the systems management space for a while, it's really grown a lot in the last couple of years, and Jeremy's really at the forefront of it, building some really cool stuff. And we're going to spend most of the time this session demoing all of these things as well, right?
Yeah, you bet. We thought we'd just kind of dive in and do some demos of some of the new technology that you saw at the keynote. So we saw that operations management suite. Thought we'd go do a little bit deeper of a dive on it, just give you a little deeper tour of what's happening before you can kind of take a view on that. Also thought I'd give you a little bit of view on just kind of how we're thinking about management and drilling a little deeper on how we're shifting and why we're shifting.
All right, so let's have a look at a couple of reasons why we got into the space and what we've been changing. What's new?
So I think, when we think about kind of the core stuff that's popping out here inside our overall management, these are the types of things that are really driving us and starting to think about what's happening. So as I start to look at these areas with management as a service, this is one of those core things that's just shifting the landscape. The team spent, in December, we went over and met with over 600 customers in a 6-week period. And what we found was 60% of our customers told us, look, we just want to get out all this complex infrastructure they have to manage, and let me just manage from the cloud. 60%. I mean, that's a jump that we didn't expect. We thought it'd be a little bit lower than that. When you take the governments, the financial sectors, and some of the other areas on the, in the energy sector, and you pull them out, that number jumps clear up to 74%.
This is huge, because even on the Office side and the other cloud services side, there was this kind of hard shift. When you think about all the on-premises investments that people have, at some point the switch kind of flipped. People were like, I don't want to get in the business of spinning up servers, managing patches, all this stuff, and I want to have all of the analytics and all the big data that the cloud can give me to actually filter that down. We're going to talk about data analytics in a second, but these are some of the things that we can do here. Yeah,
for sure. And data analytics is also just kind of changing the way we think about management altogether. We used to think about how we go configure a specific machine. I want to get all these events. Data analytics just lets us pull all of this information together. And since we've built this service sitting on top of Azure, I've got just this mass amount of scale that we can do that we haven't been able to really reproduce even inside the data center, because just the sheer amount of content and the fact that I can just keep scaling. I mean, on the analytics just front, when we were doing our initial trials over the last year, we've just let people send as much data as they could, and we stored it as long. We have not deleted any of that information. We just continued to just take it so that we understand both hot and cold storage, as well as just how much throughput we could take. So terabytes of data come into the system, and we've really been able to learn and grow at that scale. But the other thing that analytics gives you is now you can just start to see, and I'll show you when we demo some of this intelligence that you can just go start to pull. Just collect the data, and then we start to give this intelligence over the top. So I'll show you some of this, and I'll refer back to it. The other one that we talked about here is just, you're hearing a lot about microservices and containers. Right. This here is where we think by having the power of the cloud and the analytics helps you start to get your handle of what's going on with these just fluid systems. We're not worrying about just one machine anymore. We're just being able to collect all that data. And we've found that it really starts to help us, whether you're using Docker or whether you're using some of the other systems that are coming down the line from Windows Server vNext. This will really help you start to just keep a pulse on these solutions as they start to just be more fluid.
So we learned a lot from cloud migrations as well, right?
Yeah, you bet. So,
oops, we got to go back this
backwards.
Way. There we go.
Yeah, cloud migrations, this is just one where we see more workloads moving to the cloud. Whether we've even seen on some, like I can remember one of the customers we were talking through on the energy sector, they were saying, look, we're moving workloads to the cloud. Inside our data centers, we're going to keep certain workloads here. But for those things in the cloud, I want to be able to get and use something from a management perspective that just helps me monitor and manage from the cloud. And so we think there'll be more and more, well, we know there'll be more workloads running in service providers and in the clouds over the coming years, and so that's where our investment really is.
So really all of these things, all the investigations you've done, all the different surveys you've done and customers you've met with, it all culminated to something, right? This is what we've built.
So that's what we announced today, is really just how can we go simplify our overall management? How can we think about simplifying that? And you saw Brad talk today about the overall operations management suite, which we announced. And that really was targeted at any cloud, any OS, and what we can help do to just bring that stuff together inside. So whether you're running on an open stack, whether on our Azure stack, or even inside VMware, we're able to go grab that data. So hey, why don't we
Let's have a look at some demonstrations.
Sure.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so who's been to the website yet? Oh, I got one hand, so we're going to do a little bit. Perfect. So right here up on the site, Microsoft.com/OMS, then it gets you to this URL. This is the overall website that's up and ready for you to now. Try it for free. I mean, seriously, you can come use this thing for free. We'll do 500 megs of data and we'll store it for 7 days. And you can come and start to use all the capabilities unlocked. And so you should be able to get up and running pretty quick with this thing. I'll show you how some of the capabilities, but you can go with a direct agent right into your environment without even needing System Center. You can just go connect it to where you want. So even in a small trial, just to go drop it out on something on, say, AWS, you can use. So that's kind of one of the core things you think about. When you think about the technologies that I'm about to show you, it's as you look across the bottom of the screen, we've just got analytics. We've brought together the automation that we've been incubating on inside Azure for the last 8 months to a year, and then availability with our backup. So let's take a look real quick. Why don't we get off the website and dive into this thing, and I'll show you a little bit deeper.
Let's see it in action.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to flip over, and this is already logged in, and you can see real quick. This is just the overall tiles, or what we call solutions packs, that sit over the top of all this data. Now these solution packs are key because what we've done is started to go do some of the analytics already for you. So you don't have to go take all this data, pile it all together, figure out the systems, and then figure out how to run queries and start to make intelligence. We've got teams, and we're working with partners as well that are building these for you already. So our goal is for you to be able to see something extremely fast without a lot of the heavy lifting or expertise to be able to get going.
And you can really do it and track all the main things that you would inside of a data center as you're managing it to make sure that you're patched and up to date.
Yep.
Make sure all your change management operations are running as expected. All these things are here in one dashboard, right?
Yeah, you bet. And so when you first get going, you're going to see that you've got a configuration. You're going to get set up. Now my configuration's already been stepped through, but if we jump into this, you can see the different solutions that you have up and running and the different connected sources that we have. So you can see I've got 20 servers that are already connected direct. They're not going through anything like Ops Manager. They are direct to this system. But if I move over here into the middle of the column, this is my System Center components. So System Center Ops Manager allows you to take those agents that are already connected to your systems, and you can easily connect this to our overall operations management suite. And so that's one of the goals that we had around this, is using Ops Manager to connect up. So if you're already going with it, it's pretty simple to go. We've seen folks be able to do it in under a half an hour. We've seen some be able to do it in under 15 minutes for the real advanced OM users, and they're able to get that up and running. So pretty straightforward and simple.
So once you have it up and running, what kind of views do you get?
Yeah, real quick, I wanted to show Jeremy one of these things is you've got custom logs. So not only do you need to think about the logs that your systems already produce, but if you have custom logs that you have, for example, maybe points of sale systems that you need to be dumping custom logs so you can monitor without that heavy infrastructure, you can load it up right in here.
Very
so let's take a look over here on some of the other solutions. So if I think about some of the solutions over here, let's just jump over to the far side since I was already over here. Systems update. Everyone wants to kind of get a view of where you're at with your systems update, regardless of where those operating systems are running. So this is our take. This is what we call a solution pack. These reports, they're visualizations over the top of our search. And I'll show you some of that search in a minute, but these things will already start to pinpoint those specific machines that you need to be thinking about. What are you missing from a security perspective? Which machines, 16 of them, haven't been updated for a long, long time, older than since January. We should go look at these to make sure that they're not leaving my environments exposed. So this is what we talk about when we think about a solutions pack. For some of you original folks that were working on an intelligence pack, we've moved those to solutions because we've expanded it beyond just analytics.
So this is really filtering out, again, the data. You might have thousands of logs, all these things, and this is really using intelligence at the back end to say, out of all of these thousands of things that you could be looking at, we're going to parse the things that actually matter that you should really be paying attention to. So you don't have to sift through all of that information. Really, it's about having too much information now and too much logging, and this helps there.
Well, Jeremy, you say thousands of logs, but we've got about 4.6 million records in this one.
4.6 million, yeah.
So you can kind of look across it pretty fast inside it. And the notion, what we have when you're doing your search, all this is based off the search. You can add filters, so new new filters that you want to add and look across the data. So if you're looking for a specific event ID, which IDs are happening the most in my environment, you can just come in and add it right in here, and we're talking seconds. I don't have to remote into boxes. I don't have to write custom scripts to see what's going on all those logs. We should be able to get it for you in seconds. And that's one of I've had people thank me for the amount of time that they've been spending on all these custom solutions, and now they're able just to load this stuff up and get running. The other thing you can do is if you just come over here and just look at the different types, I can see perf types, syslog types for those that are trying to pull off of Unix and other things. If I just choose my perf, the search is already updated for me, so it's saving me from having to type and fiddle around with that. The core is I can just start to go look at different components that we have running from just perf counters. So let's see if we can find something that's a little chatty like disk queue length. Yeah, so here we go. We can start to see disk queue length and the chattiness of those perf counters. And you can come in and change your time frame, and you can quickly start to see if you get down into that 6 hours mark, we've been able to start to get near real-time data coming in. Like within minutes, you're starting to see it. And so from minutes coming on something on premises and up to the cloud, the team just continues to work and refine and try to get that as fast as we can for you to get the visibility. Now we noticed if I go back, we're talking syslogs. Let's go give it a shot. I just have to type. It's just one of those things. Let's see if we can pull what machines have syslogs in here. Yeah, so inside we've got, I can go pull syslogs. So this starts to let you look at other devices. I can look at my Unix machines. I can look at other devices, like your network devices often use syslog data. And I can go group. Let's go see how many machines I have here. Instead of me messing around with a lot of the syntax, I can just simply go in and use group by computer. And we can see the different machines that are right now in my little demo account that's dropping some of the syslog work. Now this Linux thing is really important for us because we feel if you need to really get an end-to-end view in your environment, you need to make sure that you've got an end-to-end view. It's not just a Windows infrastructure, it's an entire infrastructure, which also means your Linux and Unix and other components. So we're serious about this. We'll continue to work with our partners to go bring this in, but you're going to see us also take a really big leap over the next year as we continue to invest in supporting this more and more. And so we think that management, if you're really going to be serious about having a management solution that's a hybrid cloud, that's looking across all your clouds, including your on-premises data center, it's got to include Linux. And so this is one of those areas that we're ramping up on even more so. So it's a big area there. So let me dive in on a couple other things.
And you said we also support other clouds, so we can also pull in data from other SaaS services or other infrastructure as a service as well.
So we've got lots of machines and the production sites that our customers already have out on other services. So we have them on, like I said, Azure for sure. We also see a lot of them out on AWS. So it's pretty simple. As you go take instances and drop them out there, you can come back and do on the AWS. Okay, so then a couple other things I'll show you is the way the team's been working on this is real time. Notice this feedback right down in the bottom corner. This is user voice, and the key that this is so important for us with user voice is the way my teams have been working. We no longer just sit inside our offices and work on these things and then write specs and bring them back to our customers to review and then come back. Yep. We use user voice. We use your feedback on how we prioritize. So if you want something and you see something different in here, go to user voice and choose it. We can see if you go to user voice today, one of the top things that's out there is they want Windows, Android, and top of the line is they want an Apple to make sure that they can see this off their mobile devices. And so we've got a single code base we're working on right now, and you'll start to see why we have a Windows version in mobile today. You'll see the Android and the iOS coming within the next month or two, and we'll just drop that out and to make sure that people can start to see this right from within your pocket.
It's very cool because with those kind of platforms, you can also tie into the notification stacks of those phones. Yep. You can actually get that to notify you, beep or vibrate or whatever, to say something's up, something needs to be checked and looked into. Yeah. And that way, you're using that analytics big data and really having that in the phone form factor is pretty cool. Yep.
A couple more things I'll show you inside here is SQL assessments. So a lot of times you'll want to know just how your SQL environment's going. So we worked with our Premier teams. Now these have been out to all our customers, and so our Premier and customer support teams are taking all the knowledge and lessons that they're learning and they're writing solution packs. And they're being able to get those to you for free so that you can come in and take a look at your own SQL environment and just how the assessments are going. It's starting to improve the way we even think about our customer support because we've had customers that have started to use this. We've got well over 10,000 that were using it before we even showed up to the show. And they're already saying, well, I'm working with my customer support team. Can I just share my logs and my information so that I don't even have to deal with that collection? It's already there, and they're able to quickly come in and look at it. And so that's really been able to save a lot of time on the troubleshooting between customer support when you've got something going on and you need to know what's going on with the logs. So this is built by our Premier team. You can, we've got all the knowledge from them, and so they've extended these solution packs to actually give you the knowledge right there in front. And so there's more coming down the line. They just dropped an Active Directory one.
So all of this is exactly from a data center management point of view, all the things that you'd want to see in a dashboard view of the data centers that you run, or of the gear across data centers that you might be running,
yep,
that really constitute your service. I know that you can personalize this, but you're also working on things around automation as well,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. So let's say automation, that's a good point, Jeremy. One of the things that we really feel important about this is it's not just about log analytics. This isn't about just some point solution that you can go ingest a bunch of logs and figure out which way you need to go. It needs to be integrated with your management. So this is why we took a lot of the work that we were doing with backup and disaster recovery and allowing us to start to move workloads and brought that together in here. But even more importantly is we started to look at how we can leverage automation. And so automation helps you create these run books so that you can start to go integrate these in when you see an event or an alert and go take off with overall automation. So I'm going to show you, for example, if I go into my alerts, and this is sucking data from our Ops Manager environment, and I can see that I've got some IIS and websites that are unavailable. Now that's great, but man, I really need to take some action on it. So if I come back over to where our automation is, we've been able to automatically connect you to the automation runbooks that are inside your environment. I'm jumping ahead a little bit on it. But if I click on my runbooks here, it will take me into our new Ibiza, our new Azure vNext experience. It starts to get you a view into the runbooks that are there. So if any of you have been familiar with the work we've been doing with Azure Automation, this is where we've brought them in. You no longer have to sign up for a separate account for Azure Automation. We've brought automation into the OMS suite, and as you sign up, we'll pre-provision you for these components. And so here you can see I've got inside my runbooks that I can go execute in. So I can start to build runbooks and create them whether I'm using Visual or I'm using PowerShell. Let me give you an example of some of that PowerShell real quick.
Sure.
So when I think about overall, if I want to go see certain things inside my environment that I could go do, like remediate an IIS server, I could go in here and choose, and right out of the gate I can either start that thing or edit it. And if I go edit, you'll see I'll come into a graphical view. And that starts to allow me to go see graphically what's happening over the top of our PowerShell module.
Okay.
Now if I back up out of there, I'm just going to go close this. And I look at a text one, I'll just say enable, that's a pretty simple one. I'll go into, now I'm just checking a random one, so live demo right here. If I go in and look at the textual side, you'll see now I'm going to be brought into a PowerShell editor that allows me to start to go in and start to edit directly with PowerShell. Now for those that have been using Service Manager Automation or SMA, it's been PowerShell based, PowerShell modules, and that's the power we've been doing. Yep. But what you saw me start with is the graphical authoring too. And so we're merging those. This week we've launched the first rev of the graphical authoring, and we'll bring those two together. And so when you start to think about all those runbooks you've created over with Orchestrator, we've got tools that we're going to start to migrate those so that you can choose to get onto our new platform. Now the other thing I'll show you real quick as I think about how we migrate over to the new platform is if I choose one of these other ones, I think I can choose it right here. Now, I'll draw your attention, I went to go run this runbook, I'll draw your attention right to the middle of the screen here. One other thing we just launched this week with Azure, with our automation service, it's part of OMS, is you can make the choice whether you want that to run in Azure, so on our service, or if you want it to run on-premise in the environment that you already have. So now we've got full hybrid capabilities, both from what's on-premises in our System Center suite to be able to talk up to multiple clouds, or you can pivot and use OMS and talk back down to your on-premise if you don't want that infrastructure or the extra burden down there. So man, just a ton of innovation we've been doing on this space.
It's just amazing, because I used to work in the System Center team. It was a few years ago, granted, but all the stuff that you've done is pretty cool in terms of just the scale that it's hitting. The overlay of things that you can do from a monitoring standpoint, seeing everything in one place, the automation, the remediation built in, it's so cool. I can't contain myself almost. It's got to be something that you guys are interested in. So where would I actually get started?
Yeah, I think
if I want to start testing some of this stuff out.
Fastest thing to do is go online, Microsoft.com/OMS, Get out there and try it now. Sign up for it. Like I said, you got a free trial that you can go use for it. We also got pay-as-you-go options, so if you want to start using pay-as-you-go and only using one component or just try it a little bit before our broader licensing, you can go ahead and use that too. So, hey, I appreciate your time tonight, guys, and letting you just see kind of where we're at.
So
tomorrow, go ahead.
Great direction. Thank you for joining us today, Jeremy. Of course, where do I follow you on blogs or on Twitter?
Just hit our site and we'll get it from there.
Hit the site, all of that stuff. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in a few more minutes. Goodbye for now.